Hello, everyone. I'm Jen Harris.
And I've been Mims.
This is the Cook-a-thon, presented by the Los Angeles Times Food Bowl and our founding partner, Citi. Tonight, we're bringing you a 2-hour celebration of the restaurant industry and the organization that, during this wild year, became the industry's greatest sponsor.
We're talking about World Central Kitchen, the nonprofit organization run by Chef José Andrés. Since 2010, World Central Kitchen has used food as a means to give back. The coronavirus pandemic gave Andrés a new mission: to help put chefs, owners, and staff of America's restaurants back to work so that they could feed Americans needing help more than ever. We're going to hear all about World Central Kitchen's work this evening, and we're also going to hear from some of the world's top chefs and best-known personalities. But first, we thought it'd be worthwhile to remember just how much the events of March and April threw the industry we're celebrating tonight into crisis mode, and how heroically restaurants across the country are fighting their way out.
The pandemic hardly spared any restaurant across the country, and each restaurant owner has a story to tell. We spoke with two well-known owners, Brianna Valdez of the Home State Restaurants here in LA, and Rose Previtt of the Compass Rose and My Dawn restaurants in Washington, D.C., to get a sense of what the early months of the pandemic were like and how they're moving forward now. Here are their stories.
Friday, March 13th, 2020. I came into the office at 7 a.m. I couldn't get there fast enough. When our team arrived, I shared my concerns and the conviction to close the restaurants to the public. We had a crowded dining room, finishing their lunch. We posted signs on the front door to let guests know that they were no longer able to enter. As we let our team members know the plan, some were relieved, others were scared, others cried. I related to them all. My name is Brianna Valdez, and I am the owner and founder of Home State. After moving from Texas in 2000, I really found myself missing food from home and wondering why on earth it didn't have a presence out in LA. And I always found myself looking for a restaurant like Home State, and one day I just got tired of looking, and I looked over at my husband and I said, maybe I should try opening this restaurant. The cuisine at Home State features items from Texas that before Home State couldn't find in LA. So we're really known for our breakfast tacos, and we really pride ourselves on making the best flour tortilla we can possibly make. Prior to March, when the pandemic hit, the business was doing better than it had ever done. We were making plans while we were doing really well and had so much confidence in the future.
My name is Rose Previtt. I started my love of food and hosting people with my family at a very young age. My mother had a Middle Eastern catering company out of our home. I opened Compass Rose in 2014. My husband and I had just gotten back from living in Moscow, Russia for 3 years, but I realized, somewhere on the Siberian Railroad that I could actually really still create change and make a difference in people's lives by feeding them. And so I wanted to do that by opening the restaurants. Compass Rose is based on street food from around the world. It's based on the 30 countries that my husband and I traveled to while we were living in Moscow. And then My Dawn came about in 2017. My Dawn is really about Middle Eastern food and about my personal heritage as a Lebanese American.
When the lockdown happened, of course, the streets were so quiet. I remember having to kind of look out from the front of the restaurant because we couldn't go outside, and we're just not seeing any cars or any people, and thinking like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to survive this? We had 3 locations when the pandemic hit, and we kept them all open, and we converted all 3 of them to general stores. At one point we were offering radishes and broccolini and things we had never carried before. We were selling yeast and toilet paper and all kinds of things.
We have basically started 3 different businesses within the last 6 months, that we never expected to have. It was the to-go business. Then it was open up 2 patios. Then we opened a bakery during the day at Compass Rose. José Andrés' World Central Kitchen was a huge help for months. We made thousands of meals to feed the city, and the one comfort in all of this is that we were able to feed our community when we felt like we weren't serving them as we were used to, but in their time of greatest need, we were able to produce.
Home State's always been a really cheerful, bright, fun, bustling place. And when you walk up to Home State now, you still see the bright yellow umbrellas. We still blast music out front and really cheerful, welcoming, hospitable people to make sure that you have a good, positive experience. So, and that way we try to keep our brand and our guest experience intact.
I do think people will come back, but we have to do a lot of things differently before then. And we have some time to fix a lot of things that needed correcting before the pandemic. And that way I'm grateful for this time, and I'm hopeful for a better future. We're actually better versions of ourselves back in March of 2020. So that's what I'm most hopeful for.
We are still looking at new opportunities for growth where we are now and growth where we're going to be. So it's still exciting. The restaurant's always exciting, and I still love it.
And Brianna Valdez of Home State and Rose Previtt of the Compass Rose and Maidon restaurants join us now. Brianna and Rose, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You both.
Thank you.
Rose, you talked about your involvement with World Central Kitchen in the video, crediting their support with softening the impact on your operation. I know you still had to shed some staff, which I'm sure wasn't easy. Can you tell us more about how World Central Kitchen helped you stay afloat?
Absolutely. It was beyond a blessing to conveniently be located in Washington, right beneath World Central Kitchen's offices, actually. And we had a couple of friends working with Jose early on, so we piloted the program with them back in late March, early April. So while we had to unfortunately furlough a lot of our staff, we were able to keep a lot of our kitchen intact because of being able to do the meals right at the beginning of the pandemic. It made a massive difference. We laid off far less people than we would have had to otherwise. So we're incredibly grateful for that.
That's great. And Brianna, what's ahead for you and your Home State restaurants? Are you seeing any light at the end of the tunnel?
I think the light at the end of the tunnel for us comes from a better understanding of where we are today. And I always tell the team, let's lay one track in front of the other and we'll create a path forward, but let's not try and predict the future or assume that we're going to be out of this quicker than we are. So just being patient and open-minded, and finding those new pathways to be successful in the day-to-day and creating a good guest experience for everyone, for our teams, and just thinking about how we can improve where we are today is only going to make us better in the future. So that's that's our approach to things today.
Okay, we'll wrap up with a question for both of you. How do you think this period in time will shape the experience of dining in years to come, even after the pandemic is over? Rose, I'll start with you.
After the pandemic is over, I hope that we go back to being, a gathering place for our community and neighbors. Just running into go business was definitely difficult for us, not having people in our space. We have a half the capacity right now. We do have some of our guests back, but I am so excited for when COVID is over to go back to really being the neighborhood places that we were intended to be.
And Brianna, what about you?
I'm excited for the future of the restaurants in general, just post-pandemic. I think that the difference will be how we communicate with our guests, their understanding of the restaurant industry. We've been lucky to have a spotlight shown on our industry. There are so many industries struggling right now, and the restaurant community has gotten a lot of support. And thank you to the LA Times for featuring our stories today. And I think that bridges the gap between restaurant operators and guests, and then understanding how difficult and challenging it can be to run a restaurant and all the variables that exist. pre and post pandemic. They're heightened right now in so many ways, but I really am excited about that transparency that we have experienced and us being able to be honest and say, you know, our internet went down and we can't serve you. We can't even take a credit card over the phone because of, you know, credit card security, and, you know, just being super transparent about those things. And I think at the end of the day, we'll all have a deeper trust with each other. And I think that will only enrich our connections and our connection to each other, connection to a community, and support when coming into the restaurants in the future, and appreciation that they can sit down and enjoy a meal and have everything taken care of and sit next to their friends and be loud. And I don't know, it's just, I'm excited for the boisterous times that are to come. And I mean, I don't know when they're coming, but I'm excited for them.
Me too. I'm looking forward to that too. Brianna Valdez and Rose Previtt, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Ben?
Thanks, Jen. Now let's turn to the organization we're featuring tonight, World Central Kitchen, which has made a difference not only for the needy, but for so many of America's chefs during the last 7 months. Founded in 2010 by Chef José Andrés, World Central Kitchen uses the power of food to heal and strengthen communities in times of crisis and beyond. Let's take a look at this video about World Central Kitchen's important work.
This is our moment to build the future in which we want to live. Today, around America, people are hungry. People are out of work. People are struggling. And that's why we're putting restaurants back to work, to feed their communities. These restaurants, they will rehire staff, they will pay rent, they will keep the lights on. Restaurants buy from farmers, from fishermen. Restaurants keep money in the local economy. We need to remember that restaurants represent culture, the fabric of our cities and towns. Food is the DNA of who we are. So today, we stand with restaurants as they cook for their neighbors. And tomorrow, we will have strong, resilient communities full of life, love, and great food. We believe that the good future starts with a humble plate of food.
And we have with us tonight World Central Kitchen's CEO, Nate Mook. Thank you for joining us, Nate.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Honored to be here.
To start, I'd like to point to some impressive numbers that I'm sure you're proud of. World Central Kitchen's Restaurant for the People program has dispersed more than $120 million to restaurants. More than 2,400 restaurants have participated in more than 300 cities in 34 states, and more than 31 million meals have been served to needy people. You probably heard Rose Previtt say in our last block how much the support of World Central Kitchen meant to her and her Washington, D.C. restaurants, Campus Rose and Maidon. Can you give us a sense of the scope of this project, and how did you manage organizing such a big effort?
Yeah, you know, I think it's important to note that none of this would have been possible without the amazing partners we have around the country. I mean, the restaurants in their communities doing a lot of this work every single day is really what made all of this possible, and for us to be able to get so many meals out into the community. When we started, this sort of seemed like a bit of a crazy idea. It made a lot of sense. To us, it was a very simple equation. We had communities, we had people that were hungry coming into this pandemic, which had turned from a health crisis into an economic crisis, really into a food crisis. So you had a lot of hungry folks. And then you had a restaurant industry that was really eager to cook, but didn't necessarily have anybody to serve because people couldn't go into the restaurants, especially in the early days of the pandemic. So we thought, what if we connect those two things? World Central Kitchen is a pretty small organization. We're under 50 full-time staff, and we know we couldn't be everywhere. You know, unlike, say, a hurricane or a fire where you can go to that location, this pandemic was affecting from the big cities to the small towns all across the country. But what there is in every single place is a local restaurant. And so we thought, what if we could safely get these restaurants up and running in this critical time to support their communities and pay them to do so. In turn, every dollar that goes back into that restaurant goes to keep the lights on, the employees on payroll, and of course, buying from all of the producers as well. So it really has that trickle down effect. So we had no idea, as Rose mentioned, we were piloting this in early March and started to see, restaurants of all scales, from fast casuals to Michelin-starred restaurants, putting themselves to work for their communities. And we've been obviously blown away by the incredible work that's been possible. And of course, the amount of support we've been able to get from donations from people that really made all of this possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. We often hear about World Central Kitchen's work in disaster zones. We've become accustomed to seeing José Andrés in far-flung places around the world delivering aid himself. But with the pandemic, you've turned your attention to a new group, chefs themselves. Can you tell us what this pivot meant for you as an organization? Was there satisfaction in coming to the aid of so many organizations, longtime allies in the restaurant business?
We are an organization that was founded by a chef that has its core, in this industry. We work with chefs all the time, even with our disaster work. One of the ways that we're able to move so quickly when we activate somewhere, whether it's after a hurricane or a fire or other types of disasters, are because we immediately connect up with the local chefs, the restaurants, the culinary industry, and tap into those resources that are already there on the ground. So we don't have to bring everything from the outside. So even in our normal sort of disaster work, we engage a lot with chefs and restaurants on a regular basis. Of course, this pandemic was at a scale I don't think any of us could have ever imagined. So it was a real natural fit for us to partner with chefs and with restaurants to get food out to the local communities that we were trying to serve. And chefs have an incredible ability, not just chefs, everybody in the restaurant industry, they're very comfortable working in this sort of controlled chaos. If you've been in a restaurant or in back of house and in a kitchen, you see how crazy things can be on a day-to-day basis. So it's kind of perfect to be able to respond in a crisis. Chefs know how to deal with it. They know how to get food out there quickly and to those that need it most. So it really was amazing to be able to work with so many different amazing chefs and restaurants and cooks and everybody across the spectrum of the industry over the last 6 months. And I think showing a new model that restaurants can be a resource in times of crisis to serve their communities, that they are a critical resource that we need to recognize. And this can be something, this is, I think, a model that doesn't have to necessarily end with this pandemic. It can be used in the future. And we're starting to do this as well recently with some of the fires out in California.
Yeah, it's very important. Among the videos your World Central Kitchen team has produced about your work, it's a pretty inspiring video about a member of your staff, Danny Barber, who's delivering meals in the Bronx. Let's take a look.
The people need the food. I want to make sure that the people are okay, and that during this time that they know that somebody cares enough about them. I had to step up.
Nate, can you tell us a bit about the people who work for you, who I imagine are integral to your mission of delivering aid?
Absolutely. I mean, really, at the end of the day, none of this would be possible without our full-time staff, our part-time staff, the volunteers that step up during a time of crisis. Danny Barber is one of these amazing human beings that really, I think, set the example for this work. And we met him in the very early days of this pandemic when COVID was hitting New York. And without hesitation, he works in many of the NYCHA housing developments in New York City. he knows all of the people. He knows all of the elderly families. He knows those that couldn't go out and get food. And every single day he went to work to make sure that nobody went hungry. And at the end of the day, what we did as an organization would never have been possible without folks like Danny Barber on the front lines every single day. So it really is a community effort. And that's how we like to look at World Central Kitchen. We like to think of ourselves as really a platform to do this work, as a way to bring the community together, to bring this industry together, to link up all these different pieces. So when there is a need, when people are hungry, we can move quickly and effectively to get food out to them. And that's really what it's all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I want to turn to your work that you're doing outside of the pandemic, specifically regarding the election we have coming up in just a few weeks. I know you've launched an initiative to serve food near election sites to help people who are voting during meal times. Your program is called Chefs for the Polls. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So Chefs for the Polls was an idea that we had earlier this year. This is something that Jose has been thinking about actually for quite a while, but it really hit home earlier this year during the primaries as we started to see these really long lines of folks waiting upwards of 8, 10, 12 hours to cast their ballots. We knew that the complexities around COVID were going to create longer lines with fewer polling stations. Also, fewer people working at the polling stations were going to also add, challenges. And so we thought, well, during this time when everybody is already going through sort of a difficult period, what could we do to kind of uplift, to create, a sense of community, to support everybody as they go out to vote. And we tested this out. We tested the idea out earlier this year in Louisville, Kentucky, at the primary, and we got some food trucks together working with Chef Ed Lee down there, and it was incredible. It was a way to bring the community together. Food is one of those things. It's a unifier, right? It brings people around a table. As Rose was saying, it creates community. And so, during this time when we're all participating in our democracy, which is so wonderful, we're getting out and casting our ballot. We want to make sure there's no barriers. We want to make sure it's a really positive and uplifting time. So we've already activated for a number of early voting days that have been going on in Texas and Georgia, and today down in New Orleans. It was great. We had a brass band playing as well at one of the voting sites. And it's not just about people that are casting their ballots. Anybody from the community can come together. We don't care who you're voting for, even if you're voting. We just want to create this sort of positive sense, and that's really what food can do like nothing else. And so we're really excited. We're going to keep doing this through the election. Folks can find out more at chefsforthepolls.org, or go to our website at wck.org and click on the button to learn more about the initiative and get involved as well.
Absolutely, and it's such a brilliant idea. Before we let you go, though, Nate, we want to tell viewers where to go to learn more about World Central Kitchen and your Chefs for the Polls program. So I'll kind of reiterate what you just said. That's wck.org for World Central Kitchen and chefsforthepolls.org. And finally, if you'd like to support World Central Kitchen's Restaurants for the People program, please visit wck.org/Cook-a-thon. Nate Mook, World Central Kitchen CEO, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ben, for having me.
Jen?
Thanks, Ben. There are a few other chefs who have left an imprint on LA's food scene quite as quickly as Chef Ludo Lefebvre did when he opened the iconic pop-up restaurant Ludo Bites at Bread Bar in 2007. Since then, he's opened 4 restaurants in LA, including Trois Mecs, which set the standard for modern French cuisine in this city and made going out to dinner an event with tickets required. As it did for many chefs, the pandemic gave Ludo one of the biggest challenges of his career and a setback when he was forced to close Trois Mecs for good back in July. But Ludo has since revived the space as a pop-up kebab restaurant, and he also devoted its kitchen to turning out thousands of meals for World Central Kitchen. I spoke with Chef Ludo earlier this week. Let's have a look. Ludo, thank you so much for joining us. As you know, the pandemic has been devastating for the restaurant industry all over the country. How has it affected your businesses?
I mean, the pandemic, Jen, really affect my restaurant, definitely. I have no choice to close one of my first restaurant, Trois Mecs, because of pandemic. And now my 2 restaurants, Petit Trois, are open now. We're just serving the food outside. So, the capacity is just 30% of capacity now. And my 2 Ludo Lefebvre, the fried chicken restaurant, are closed. So it's, the pandemic really affect the business of my restaurant. Definitely. I mean, it's very challenging now.
And I know that you've been doing a lot of work with World Central Kitchen. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started doing that?
So I did some work with the World Central Kitchen for the past, I will say at least for 4 months or 5 months, all during, since the beginning of the pandemic. I know very well José Andrés, so he contacted me if I was interested to do some food for people and to help people. And of course, I say yes. And I did that from Trois Mecs restaurant for like a good 4 months. 4 months, like I say, I know very well José Andrés. I know this chef very well. In the past, I worked also with him when it was a lot of fire in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Petit Trois did some food for the fireman. I mean, this is not the first time I'm working with José Andrés, with the World Central Kitchen. It's a great association, and they are very well organized. It's always for a good cause, so it's good.
And did you also work with some events that they did in Puerto Rico?
Oh, but yeah, Jen, I worked with them in Puerto Rico, but this one was very funny event. We are a lot of chefs together cooking with José Andrés. So when José in the kitchen, when José is on our island, you can feel that. Trust me, it's funny. Mm-hmm. It's easier. The man is here. Yeah, he put a lot of good ambiance. It's great with José.
And what was it like turning your restaurant Trois Mecs, where it was one of the most coveted, amazing fine dining restaurants in the entire city? What was it like turning that into a kitchen for World Central Kitchen and turning out hundreds of meals for frontline workers?
Look, Jen, it was for a good cause. It was good to turn Trois Mecs, for doing 400 meals a day. It was a little bit challenging because Trois Mecs is a small kitchen, it's a small restaurant. So it was a little hectic in the beginning to organize ourselves. Before we do 40 covers, and now we're doing 400. So it was a little bit challenging at the beginning, but we figured out that with my chef. And in the beginning, it was a little more scary than now because it was the beginning of the pandemic. We didn't know what was going on with the COVID, how we catch the COVID. So working with people next to you was a little scary. I mean, it's a small restaurant. Trois Mecs is very small. It was very challenging, but more scary. But it was for a good cause. So we want to help people, and we take all the precaution to do that.
And you guys ended up feeding so many people. It's so great.
Yeah, it was great. Seriously, well, you feel good after, the day you go home and you feel very good, definitely.
And, that restaurant, Trois Mecs, I feel like really helped establish your legacy in Los Angeles. And I guess what was it like to have to close that?
Oh, it was like turning a page, It was, oh my God, I have Trois Mecs for 7 years and I feel like I was turning the page of the restaurant. And to close it like that, I did not realize until I saw it in the news. I know it was coming, but until I see the article in the news, Trois Mecs is closed, it was like a separation, It was just a very, very, was very sad, very emotional, and Trois Mecs was a great inspiration for me, for some other chefs, and to close it like that, and nothing I can do really, was I was done for a few days, so I was done, definitely. It just was very emotional. It was my little baby. It was my first restaurant. I opened it was sad, but now I cannot reopen Trois Mecs in this condition. I'm not interested to do that now. I'm not. So I decided to close it, and I turned Trois Mecs, as as a kebab concept. I'm doing kebab from Trois Mecs to go, just to go food, just to pay my rent, and to keep the place, because I have some projects now to make Petit Trois bigger.
Oh, okay. That's great. And
that's
so
what I want to do.
And how did you decide on kebabs? Why serve kebabs?
Kebab because I grew up in Paris and I eat a lot of kebab in Paris when I was a kid. When I was a young chef, I don't have that much money. We have a lot of kebab in France, in Paris, and this little part of our culture also. We have a lot of immigrants, and this immigrant cook amazing kebab. And for me, it's almost like part of my childhood. I grew up with that, and that's why I decided to bring kebab more kebab. I mean, we have kebab in Los Angeles. Don't get me wrong. I did not create a new thing, but I always want to do a kebab concept because I love kebab. I love the technique to marinate the meat, after to grill the meat to make crispy, juicy. I mean, I love it's very technical kebab. It can sound very, very simple, but it's very exciting, like doing fried chicken or cooking a chicken to make sure it's crispy, juicy. And we do that on the wood fire. I mean, and it's very healthy. Kebab is very healthy. Surprise, I don't use butter, So,
what?
No, not butter, guys, in the kebab.
You're not using butter? Okay.
No, and it's very healthy. It's just grilled meat, grilled vegetable, size of rice, tomato salad, hummus. And I play with a lot of more French flavor because I don't want to compete with Persian kebab. I'm not very familiar. I know I'm familiar with the flavor, but I don't know how to cook that. So I decide to go more French, like Dijon herbe de Provence, steak au poivre. We have a vadouvan lamb. Vadouvan is a French curry. So it's more French flavor than Persian or Mediterranean,
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds delicious. And how have you and your family been coping? How have you guys been spending your time at home?
Oh, best time in my life, Jen. Never in my life I spent so much time with my family. It was amazing. Seriously, I mean, the pandemic was a very, very stressful situation, but the joy of the pandemic for me was really to be almost every night with my family. For the past 3 months or 4 months, it was amazing. I really enjoy to be home with my kids, my wife, and cook for them every night. Do some live Instagram. I love to do live Instagram. It was amazing to connect with the people like that on live Instagram. And also during the pandemic, we decided with my wife, I watch my kids a good series called The Little House on the Prairie. You remember this series? Remember that?
Yes.
The challenge? Yeah. I watched that during the quarantine. During the pandemic, I watched The Little House on the Prairie with my kid. I love it. Every night, 2 episodes. It was amazing. So, wow. I really have a good time with my family during the pandemic. It was stressful, of course, but I was so happy to spend time with them. So happy to do discovery, do more Instagram, live Instagram, and try to inspire people. I have a good time. During my pandemic. I stayed a lot in my house. It was good. I mean, stressful, but good.
Yeah, and I noticed you were cooking a lot more with your kids too. Did you end up developing more kid-friendly recipes?
I mean, look, Luca, my son, he loves to cook because he loves to eat. Exactly like me when I was a kid, I cook because I love to eat. That's why I become a chef. And Luca is the same like me. So Luca, I teach him to do new things. He already knows how to do an omelette very well. He knows how to cook steak, but I teach him how to do some cheese souffle. And which is very difficult. He did not do a good job the first time to do the bechamel and the egg white, but he understands the concept. I try to teach him a little bit thing, like that, like do a chicken stew also to sear the meat and deglaze with wine and put some garniture. So I try to teach Luca to cook more, and Luca wants to learn, my son. And we did a lot of banana bread. I love banana bread.
Yeah.
Banana bread is my favorite. So what I was doing, I was trying a lot of different recipes online of banana bread, and I was playing with that. And with Luca, we bake a lot of banana bread, and Chrissy, my wife, also a lot. Banana bread was a thing of the quarantine, during the pandemic. A lot of banana bread, a lot.
Nice.
Love it.
And in addition to teaching your son how to cook, I noticed you also tried to teach Selena Gomez how to cook for her new series. What was that like?
I mean, look, look, in the beginning, I was very shy with her. I mean, it's Selena Gomez, okay, great. She's a person. But I was a little shy to talk with her in the beginning. But after a few minutes, she was very engaging. She was very nice, very friendly, and really want to learn. I don't know if she cooked before a lot. I don't think so. I don't think so. It was very hard to teach her to cook an omelette on the different TV set because I was in my house and she was in her house. But to cook with her, I mean, listen, she was a sweetheart. She was very, very nice. She wanted to learn, and I hope now she knows to do an omelette.
For sure.
Yeah, she knows to do an omelette.
Well, thank you so much, Ludo. It's been really great chatting with you.
Be well and safe, guys, everybody.
Thank you for your time, Chef Ludo. Now we'd like to welcome someone whose insights into the Los Angeles food world are known through Southern California and well beyond. Our friend Evan Kleiman, host of the KCRW show, Good Food. Evan, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, it's so great to see you.
Great to be with you. It's great to be with you, too.
So Evan, we've heard quite a bit already from chefs and restaurant owners who've had to pivot their businesses in order to survive. I guess, what are you making of these new ventures, especially the new pop-up restaurants that are opening?
Well, first of all, I think that chefs are the most resilient jugglers there are out there as a business, as an industry. It's sort of baked in to who chefs are and the sort of freewheeling nature of restaurants. So the fact that everyone in our community was so quick to find a pivot, whatever it was, whether it was selling groceries at the beginning when nobody could find anything that they wanted, particularly all the crazed sourdough and bread making people, was not surprising to me. And I was really happy to see that they weren't just in shock laying down on the ground, which I'm sure some of them did at the beginning, but that they were able to get up and push through and move. And I think that is another quality that chefs and restaurant managers have, is they're like sharks. They never want to stop. They always want to be moving. It's a business where you are constantly reacting. There's a lot of firefighting in the restaurant business in normal times. And so I think it's a good thing that our community has these skills, and also our community, because I think what you've really seen in these past several months are tremendous amounts of friendship, and I'm going to tear up now, friendship and just helping one another when they really needed it.
That's great. Evan, on a related note, kind of what you just said there, do you think that chefs have kind of begun to, out of necessity, reimagine their relationship to the public and kind of act as like advocates for the community?
Well, I think a lot of chefs have already been advocates for the community. I mean, if you think about what LA chefs have done in terms of the farm to table connection, I mean, that's something now so baked into our culture. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you told people the importance of, instead of just picking up your phone and ordering something through a disembodied voice and getting it delivered the next day, of like knowing who you were buying from and tasting locally grown produce and fruit, that restaurateurs have the capacity of being incredible educators. And I think what happened here is it was a time where they found themselves having to be in this amazingly scary, steep learning curve of learning themselves, and then now educating people in terms of safety protocol, but also what the business is. When I was listening to Brianna Valdez of Home State earlier, when you were speaking to her, I was struck by what she said about transparency being a legacy of this period of time. And I think that's really important because most diners, when they've gone out to restaurants, have no idea of what goes on behind the scenes. I don't think many people understood the tight margins, the data, like a lot of restaurants survive on that cash flow day to day. And that cutting off that everyone experienced in March for several weeks put everyone into free fall, just not just emotionally, but economically. And I think this transparency is something that will never go away now. I really think that that restaurateurs are going to require more of diners, and you can see the tension in that now. How there are people who don't want to comply with safety protocols. There are people who are going out to sit in patios and aren't leaving tips. And I think the business, the people, working the front lines are going to have a hard time with just accepting that and having the attitude of the customer is always right going forward. That's going to be hard to swallow, I think, when they've swallowed so much to survive.
Yeah, definitely. And Evan, before we go, we wanted to ask you what you've been up to in your own kitchen since the start of the pandemic. What have you been doing?
Well, I live by myself, and I'm older, and I'm not thin. So I'm in that group of people who is more at risk if I were to get COVID. So I've been pretty conservative, and I've stayed home. Cooking, for one, is not a delight. I must say, nor is shopping, for one. Like many people, have thrown out a lot of food. I ordered enough beans at the beginning to see me through an apocalypse much bigger than this one.
Good.
But I would say that, we've had this tortilla contest that we've been building up to at KCRW. And thank goodness for that, because one of your columnists, Gustavo Arellano, keeps dropping off amazing tortillas for me to taste. And I think I've been living on beans, tortillas, and whatever is in my garden. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, before everything was locked down, I ran to nurseries and bought whatever I could, chiles, tomatillos, tomatoes, put them in pots. And I've basically been eating off them for months. I'm kind of sick of it. I have to say, I went to Ludo's place 2 days ago for the first time to pick up things. It was just great to eat food that I didn't make.
Seems like you're better set up at home than most everyone else is, so that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I put a camp. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh no, sorry. It's good to have you with us. Always good to see you.
It's wonderful to see the two of you. I can't wait to really hang out with people.
Yeah.
I don't understand how restaurateurs are dealing with that. Hugging and closeness, the physical embrace is such a big part of what we do. Just the exchange of food is, while lovely and needed on both sides, is kind of bloodless in a way. You can't wait till it's in person again.
Yeah, I think it will get there soon, and so we're all looking forward to it for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being with us, Evan.
My pleasure.
So during the past weeks and months, as we thought about how we put tonight's show together, we agreed that hearing directly from chefs was the only way we could tell the story about what the restaurant industry has been through, and of course, about the work of World Central Kitchen. So we asked chefs and other important figures in food and entertainment to answer a series of questions about their day-to-day lives. Here's our first installment of what we're calling Chef's Diary, a peek inside some of the top-rated kitchens around the world. Take a look.
So So let me give you a tour of our kitchen in downtown LA. You know, the team has been amazing in the way they're adapting. Hey everybody, we've got lots and lots of chicken that we're roasting. And we've got lots of cookies and rice.
ここから見えますキッチン。ハビー、ハン君、姉さん。今これキッチンです。今、
This is the whole kitchen.
今日はまだお客さんがいる。
We still have some customers there, which is why we're giving you a little
でもキッチン今ちょっと。
Burası Bozcaada. Sevdiğimiz bir arkadaşımızın bağında bu işler yapılıyor. Buradaki de çalışma arkadaşları, esas işin emekçileri. Ben de küçük çaplı yardım ediyorum. Sevgi ve selamlar.
Let's go. Okay. There's the line. There's the guys. David, Amari, John isn't on my grill. So let's go over to my grill. All right, here's my grill.
Big boss, big boss, big boss. Second boss.
Team.
We've pretty much moved all of our operations to this line. So we're just getting set up for service right now. We finished lunch service. Essentially, you have appetizers and desserts and entrees. And notice everyone's nice and spaced out.
The heart of the kitchen is right here. It's the past, and at night we all come together and we cook. So it's a small kitchen, but less is more.
This is my home. So we have our beautiful pizza oven over here, wood burning oven. And you know, anytime that I come in my space, I think how much I have to say thank you to Los Angeles. They've been supporting us so much so that me and my team can still come in the morning and do what we love, stretching pizza and feed all these people. So thank you, LA.
Bye-bye.
We'll be showing more of the material we received from some of the world's best-known chefs later in the program. For now, I'd like to turn things over to Jen so that we can recognize the work of LA's best chefs. Jen?
Defining what it means to be an exceptional Los Angeles restaurant is a difficult task under any circumstance. But for all the ways the events of this year challenged the food industry, they also offered a new standard for excellence, forcing restaurants to respond to incredible adversity. Each year, the Gold Award is given to California chefs in honor of culinary excellence and for expanding the notion of Southern California cooking. The award is named after the late Jonathan Gold, who of course was a Pulitzer Prize-winning food critic for the Los Angeles Times. This year's Gold Award recipients have lived up to the award's legacy. They are the chefs and owners of the Los Angeles restaurant Post and Beam.
Back about 9 years ago, Brad Johnson and myself, we were looking to partner on a restaurant. You know, I just saw this as a really great opportunity to do something special, something different, something for the community by someone who's from the community.
I have to give credit where credit is due. Ken Lombard initially had the vision to go out and look for a local restaurant operator. The owners of the property where Post and Beam is located thought that the local community was dramatically underserved.
We were passed down the restaurant in June last year. This has been our dream. Post and Beam used to be like our favorite date spot. So we've been in love with the place forever. Being a part of the Baldwin Hills and Crenshaw community has been the big win for us. Like you said, it's not a lot of fine dining, Black-owned restaurants. So I think Post and Beam's the first of many.
For us, Post and Beam has been a place where the community can come and get fine soul food.
I was so impressed by what Govind was doing because it wasn't necessarily completely comfort food driven, but sure, it's a staple.
You know, these days, it's really hard to predict what the future looks like, what the future for restaurants, what the future for people in general. And it's been wonderful to see how John and Ronnie have really immersed themselves even more in the community and to really serve the community directly.
The pandemic presented itself like as a huge challenge and obstacle at first, but we had to quickly work through it. We just really approached all the opportunities, which were feed members of the community that not necessarily could afford a Post and Beam experience.
You know, this whole thing has been really devastating to the restaurant community and also devastating to the most vulnerable communities. So we need each other right now.
It's beyond important to have this restaurant stay alive. It's really, it just shows the community, it shows the greater LA area that, you know, a Black-owned restaurant can be successful. But what it takes is the surrounding communities to actually support it and to support it for the right reasons.
Before we introduce you to the team from Post and Beam, I'd like to welcome now our colleague, Lori Ochoa. Lori is the Los Angeles Times Deputy Editor of Entertainment and Arts. She and our late friend, Jonathan Gold, were married for 28 years. And Lori is here tonight to help us honor this year's Gold Award recipients. Lori?
Thank you, Jen. You know, when I think back on a lifetime of meals I shared with Jonathan, I like to picture the evenings we spent at Post and Beam. Jonathan would order a rye old fashioned and indulge my craving for Post and Beam's deviled eggs with smoked catfish, despite his famous aversion to eggs. Because Jonathan knew this place was special. The Post and Beam patio is the perfect place to meet friends over ice cold cocktails infused with fresh herbs and fabulous fried chicken or short ribs. We both felt that Post and Beam had become a vital part of Los Angeles and the national dining scene. Brad and Govind ensured that any conversation about Los Angeles's best restaurants had to go beyond the usual West Side Hollywood neighborhoods. As Jonathan wrote, Post and Beam is the most ambitious restaurant ever to open in the Crenshaw district. I'm pleased to introduce tonight Brad Johnson, Govind Armstrong, and John and Ronnie Cleveland, the winners of this year's Gold Award. Congratulations. Now, Brad, you grew up in the restaurant business in New York and opened some iconic places in Hollywood and the West Side before Post and Beam. The Roxbury, yes, the inspiration for SNL's Night at the Roxbury. Georgia, with Denzel Washington as a partner. BLT Steak, and later Willie Jane, which I still miss. Tell us more, Brad, about the need you and your wife Linda saw when you opened Post and Beam and why this was such an important project for you.
Well, Lori, first of all, thank you in the LA Times for the Gold Award this year. I mean, it comes at a very strange time when we're all kind of wondering, where to go from here and what's next, and watching all of the, interesting interviews prior to this and seeing the good work that people are doing is really inspiring. For me personally, coming from New York and, opening up a nightclub initially and then a celebrity restaurant after that, and then BLT with, a restaurant that already existed, a concept that already existed in Manhattan. Post and Beam represented an opportunity for me to really make a statement, and the community surrounding Post and Beam, Baldwin Hills, Ladera Heights, View Park, are 1, 2, 3 wealthiest Black communities in the country. A very significant, a bedrock for Black Angelenos. And the opportunity was presented by Ken Lombard and Quentin Primo. So we had an opportunity where we were going to have capital. We were going to have the ability to create our own concept and a community that had been underserved for quite some time. There hadn't been any development in South Los Angeles really since 92 riots, which is 20 years after. So one of the key moments though for me was Govind and I had been talking about the idea of doing something, and Govind was bouncing around and doing a lot of cool stuff. And I remember he was on a cruise, and I was trying to reach him and hoping that he was going to say yes. And I wanted to talk to him about Post and Beam. And I knew how important it was to have a chef of note. I did not want us to risk not being noticed by the media, by the public, but mostly I wanted great food. And I really, I knew that there were great places out there, Doolin's and Woody's and Simply Wholesome and Mel's Fish Shack, great, iconic restaurants in South LA. So we had to do something different. So the best moment for me early on was when Govan came back from his cruise and said, I'm ready to talk about all things Post and Beam. And then we got into it and we talked about what we wanted to do food-wise and vibe-wise. And, we melded and he's been a great partner the whole way. And I couldn't be more pleased with what we've been able to do. And the community support that we've gotten, Lori, it's been phenomenal. And I don't want to look past that. I'm so grateful that the neighborhood just kind of rallied around us. And then LA at large, we had folks that would come from, downtown, the West Side, from Inglewood, from Redondo Beach. And, we get into conversations. We see people sitting together that, quite frankly, I don't know what other room would have such a diverse clientele as Post and Beam was able to accomplish. And Jonathan was so kind to us. I remember a couple of the quotes that just stood out. Talked about our brunch and the power structure in LA. If you ever wanted to really capture it and see it for yourself, you couldn't do better than Post and Beam on a Sunday. Led to a New York Times feature for Black restaurants around the country where Post and Beam was featured. So, to come full circle now and to have this recognition from the LA Times and the Golden Award, how much you all have meant to us, how much you lifted us up. And now, to give a little wind in the sails for John and Ronnie, who are more than up to the task. What a freshman year. I mean, to be handed a restaurant is tough enough, but to deal with the circumstances that they're having to deal with, unimaginable. But I tell you, those two are just phenomenal human beings. And, Govan and I still, and my wife, Linda, we still, have our arms around John and Ronnie. We love them. And they are embracing the restaurant. And I couldn't be more proud of the job that they're doing. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for the support. Really grateful. It feels good after we started working on this project in 2009. So 11 years later to get this, this stamp from you all, and the community is rallied around us and looking at John and Ronnie's beautiful faces there and their young kid Miles. I think we've done okay.
I think you've done more than okay. It was such an important statement for LA. And Govan, you have the DNA of Los Angeles fine dining in your bones. And starting with your days as a teenage apprentice at Spago, and your kitchen adventures have encompassed the esoteric precision of Spain's Michelin-starred Arzak, the foundational LA restaurants Campanile and City, and then your own breakouts at Jackson's, Chadwick, Table 8, 8-Ounce Burger, and more. And now you're at the Lobster, and I see that you've been giving back with charity dinners and navigating the challenges of COVID, and still making delicious food. That wild Dungeness crab gumbo you made earlier this week looks so tempting on Instagram. But especially close to my heart is your time establishing a strong multicultural culinary voice at Post and Beam in an unfairly overlooked part of Los Angeles. And you seem to draw on many of your fine dining influences in your food for Post and Beam while also staying true to the traditions of the neighborhood. Tell us about how you approach the menu at Post and Beam and what you hoped people would come away with after a meal there.
Will do. Lori, again, I just want to thank you. I know Brad really covered everything, but it's such an honor to receive this award and all the energy and love that's gone into Post and Beam. I think the timing couldn't be better, and we just really, truly appreciate it. It was really interesting just working on the menu for this restaurant. Initially Brad and I had thought about possibly doing a simpler concept, and it really just didn't make sense. I didn't think that I just thought the community deserved something a little better, a little more personal. And, I really didn't want the community to to sort of be overlooked, so we really had to make a statement. We really had to do some, I wouldn't say cutting edge food, but I think what we needed to do was do some great food, have some fantastic service, and really just deliver on right across the board. So my mother being Costa Rican, my grandfather is Indian, father's African American. All these styles of food come out, and at that location, it really just made the most sense to really hone my skills. Where my food has always been very ingredient driven. How do you take something like soul food or something like Southern food and keep the integrity of the dishes and make it healthier, make it affordable and craveable and all that, and just really, put a stamp on it for the community. And, it was a little challenging, but it was fun. It was unique. We had a pizza oven put in. So of course we're going to make our own dough, not just any dough. It's going to be a 48-hour dough. And, we're going to do all these great sides and have it be very vegetable forward and whatnot. But even the meats that we would bring in were all naturally raised. And, we had to smoke our own bacon for the yams. We had to smoke our own ham hocks for the greens. And just really doing as much as we could to make the restaurant stand out and make it something unique and give people something to talk about. And, it's been great, and I also, it was just one of those times where it's like there were definitely options in the community for sure, but there wasn't anything like that was independent, that was where the community could come and bring their friends, where they would normally on occasion go into Culver City or Mar Vista or go, wherever. They can actually stay within their own community and bring their guests who live in Culver City into Baldwin Hills. So it was, just a lot of work and a lot of fun.
And a lot of good food and a lot of good people in that room and on the patio.
For
John
sure.
and yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It was such, it just always feels like Los Angeles and how Los Angeles should feel. John and Ronnie, you are not only fostering Post and Beam's reputation for excellence, you are making the place your own. I've been impressed by your efforts to feed seniors during this COVID crisis and the way you adapted your takeout operation during the pandemic with specials like smoked ribs, your amazing looking vegan platter, and helping families celebrate holidays with special menus, your cocktails to go, and your promotion of a Black-owned distillery. Your take-up, by the way, is fantastic, even though I'd love to eat in the restaurant. But recently, you did reopen the restaurant, and brunch is back. Talk about the challenges you and John, both of you wrote, how the challenges you both have faced, and how we can expect Post and Beam to evolve in the future.
I think, thank you, Lori. It's an honor to even share this award with Brad and Govan. They are our mentors and have guided us into this. And it's just, thank you to the LA Times and to you, Lori, for just giving us the recognition. The challenging thing has been to really survive with all these changes. I think it's no different than every other restaurant. We're in a particular location, but it's been pretty crazy to go from a full service dining and catering on the side to takeout and delivery only. Some weeks we really changed from doing takeout and delivery to just meal deliveries to seniors. We've delivered to children and at-risk youth. We've done so many different types of food service. And now to come full circle to moving our dining spaces outdoors, it's been a lot. This is our first restaurant. So this is our dream. It's a lot of pressure to uphold this level of excellence that Brad and Govind and Linda put in place. And, you know, it's been a roller coaster, but it's been the wildest ride you could have imagined. We are excited to be on it through the highs and the lows. I feel like we're in this for the long haul, and we don't plan on leaving. We plan on cooking for the folks in South LA and Baldwin Hills and Crenshaw forever. So we make a commitment to providing the quality and consistent service that everybody's grown to expect. And it's been, you know, pretty crazy. We're a small family spot, and our team here has been working together for a few years now. And, you know, I think we always look to help each other. And coming into this pandemic, it kind of really took that up to a whole another level. You know, we had to let a lot of staff go initially, and we're now bringing a lot back on. But the task of maintaining keeping our family safe during this has been probably our biggest challenge. We have some people with at-risk seniors and youth in their household. Ronnie and our son was born with chronic lung disease. And, you know, the threat of a respiratory pandemic is just the most frightening thing you could wake up to. And just navigating through that has been one heck of an obstacle. And we just take it day by day. The future for us, I think, is in the growth of South LA. I feel that Post and Beam will grow with South LA, and, you know, with the support of the community and our council members that we've had and the media like LA Times, I think we'll grow with that.
We want to see you keep growing, John and Ronnie. And I only wish Jonathan had been able to experience the new era at Post and Beam, because it's in excellent hands. And now, Brad Johnson, Govind Armstrong, John and Ronnie Cleveland, I am honored to present the 2020 Gold Award to you. Here it is. I wish we could have been together in the same room to celebrate, but I hope this award for Post and Beam will not only offer some encouragement when the days are tough, but also help ensure that the legacy of this restaurant, which all of you poured heart and soul into, will always be a part of the story of Los Angeles. So, Brad.
Thank you.
Congrats, you guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Brad and Govind, and Brad, Linda, the unsung hero.
Yes.
Group hug.
Yeah, group hug. There we go.
Yeah. Cheers.
Salud.
Thank you.
For Brad, Govind, John, and Ronnie, thank you again. Great, you're a great team, and congratulations. Jen, back to you.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori, and congratulations to our 2020 Gold Award winners. Ben?
Jen, thanks. In the world of food, where there are many big names and giant personalities, there may be no bigger name and no more gentle spirit than José Andrés. A leading figure in the molecular gastronomy movement who has taught courses at Harvard, Andrés is also a committed humanitarian who has traveled to disasters around the world to feed the needy. The pandemic gave his organization, World Central Kitchen, a new mission: to save the restaurant industry itself, funding restaurants around the country to turn out meals for people who needed them most. But Andrés is first and foremost a chef, and he sent us this video from his kitchen in Maryland. Let's take a look.
Hi everybody, before we start, I'm gonna be doing this. I have 1 quart of water in this big pan, I don't know how many inches. And this goes right in a pan. This will look like almost a paella pan from Spain, but take a look what I do. I have some miso. I put a big spoon of miso. Which miso? Whatever miso you like. Me, I like miso that they are kind of medium, not too strong, not too light. And I'm gonna put it there until everything is really nice and mixed. In this moment, I have a beautiful miso paste with water. And in this moment, the only thing I have left to do is this. I have right here some kombu. I break it in half and I put it right here. And now I need to make sure that the entire miso mixes very well with the water. And in this moment, I have the quarter water here, I have the miso, and I have the kombu. And I put 3/4 of this amazing rice, ayaki. This is from California. It's a short grain like you will use to make sushi. But here I'm not trying to make sushi, I'm not trying to make paella. I'm only trying to bring techniques of one country with ingredients of another, with inspiration from another. And in these moments, the rice goes right in the pan. And now we're gonna make sure that the miso is really mixed. I'm gonna taste it to make sure that it has the right amount of salt. It's already tasty. So yeah, you see what I'm doing. It's almost like I'm doing like a paella that has no stock, nothing, used directly from the water. But then it's not paella because in Spain probably they will hang me. No way, Jose. In Japan, probably the same. No way, Jose. So this is a dish that is what I like to cook sometimes in my home, very quickly. So this is gonna come slowly to boil, and the moment it starts boiling, what I'm gonna be doing, look at what I have here. I have some amazing sea urchin. This sea urchin right now is in season, it's from Maine, and it's the one that I grew up eating in Asturias or in Galicia, in Spain, and I love it. But we'll do more of this later. In this moment, look at what I have. I have these amazing green beans that are last of the season that I bought here in a market in Bethesda. I have some of them chopped like this, and I'm gonna add them right now. And usually, traditionally, many rices, especially traditional in Spain or in parts of Europe, they will tell you saute the meats. I'm putting some meat because I'm putting sea urchin, but I'm putting also some pork sausage. This one is a new recipe like the pork sausage we call butifarra in Spain. And I'm gonna put it, as we speak, in little balls right here on the rice. How long is this gonna rice be boiling? Depends the rice. It can be 10, can be 12 minutes. Sometimes the rice takes 18. It depends the rice. We're gonna check. I'm doing this kind of no preparation, so let's see what we find. This is not a recipe that always works. This is cooking, throwing yourself in and say, let's see if I am successful. But I hope you can see this actually is looking really good. The combo. In this moment, this is done, the rice is behind me. I'm gonna do this. I have some great crab meat from Maryland, and look at what I'm doing with this crab meat. I have some mayonnaise that I made yesterday. In this mayo, don't kill me, I'm putting ketchup. Why? Because my mom used to make this sauce for me every New Year's Eve. And I grew up eating this sauce, salsa rosa. Every country has its own version. My mom will put ketchup, a lot of black pepper. She will put probably some mustard. This one is grain mustard. Take a look. Oh yeah. We put it in. And in this moment, I will add a little bit more of white nut, black pepper. This moment, I will get some whiskey. Why? Because we are in the States. Some whiskey, because my mom will always put whiskey. Sometimes my mom will put Paris, but I don't have any, or whatever else. It's good too. Don't let anybody to tell you that the recipe, you cannot make it your own. Now we mix it. Oh yeah, good. And now, my friends, this is a pink sauce, like my mom always used to make with the grain. And the whiskey gives a special flavor. This is in the moment. So in this moment, take a look at what we do. In this moment, I bring this beautiful plate. I get some of the beautiful crab meat and I put it around like that, big pieces. You can do individual, you can do for sharing. I think now with COVID, it's better to do individual. If you are in your family, you can do it separated. You can do it in a big plate. You can do it bowl by bowl. And in this moment, that's what I do. I go and I put some directly, some of these amazing salsa rosa on the plate. And in this moment, every piece is kind of covered. And me, I love cornichon. Take a look what I do. I do one, I do another, I do another, I do another. I come with some, why not, olive oil, which I have here. I put a touch. I did some of the black pepper. I come with the black pepper. I put some more on top. If I had some green leaves, I would, but I don't have them. So, people of Los Angeles, people of the world, this is my crab meat with the cornichon and the pink sauce as my mother will make it. And in this moment, we have time as the rice is cooking. We come back. How is the rice doing? The rice is good. I'm bringing up the heat because if not, it's too much rice for the proportion, but I will tell you at the end. I think I did it right. Very nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's in the place I want it. And this needs to keep boiling. So now, take a look at what I'm doing. I'm removing everything from the middle. The crab meat is out. And in this moment, this is what I do. I have here some eggs, and I crack one egg, and I crack another egg. Perfect. I wash my hands, again, boom, and take a look at what I do. I get this sugar, and I put two big spoons, one big spoon per egg, and because my mom always likes to put more, I put more. In this moment you have sugar with eggs, but in this moment you do this. You come with another egg, you crack it, you separate the egg whites, and because we want to use everything, this egg yolk goes in this bowl. In this moment we have the egg yolks here, and we have the whole eggs here and the egg whites there. And in this moment I come, I'm gonna leave this for later, and I mix these eggs with the sugar. Are you with me? Are you with me? Yeah, you are with me. Take a look. Oh yeah, this is some shell. Sorry. Okay, so take a look. Sometimes I like it even more sugar because you want to caramelize. In this moment, we have this kind of pan. I use it sometimes for grilled cheese sandwiches. Not too hot, but I put olive oil. Why? Because olive oil is best. The rice keeps boiling, maximum speed, and take a look what's happening here. Take a look what's happening. I'm gonna wait until this is almost ready. And in this moment, it's time to close some of the things I've been opening. Don't come down. This is Vivo y Directo, live from Bethesda, Maryland. Oh yeah.
Thank you, José Andrés, for that demonstration. We'll be back in the next hour for the rest of the video, but we're not going to leave the topic of home cooking just yet. So many of us have been cooking meals for ourselves at home more than we ever have before. And in addition to José Andrés, that includes a number of the world's top chefs and entertainment figures. We asked them to tell us what they've been making.
Getting recipes and special instructional videos on how to cook delicious meals at home. Well, I'd like to contribute, but I'm the worst cook in the world. But that doesn't stop me from making yum-yums for my mouth and for my tom-toms. Come along, won't you?
It's a vegetarian meal. Crispy rice, split peas with basil, a little cucumber yogurt, and roasted tomatoes. Amazing. My favorite dinner to cook at home.
The thing I like to cook most nowadays is something I learned in Barcelona, Spain. I saw them fry eggs in olive oil. Have you ever done this?
Oh my gosh. I hate to say it because I say it all the time, but I love mashed avocado with olive oil, salt, and pepper, with a little bit of appetizer, some of our chips from Socolo.
Uh-oh, what did we find?
Nectarine. And all you do, it's very simple. You take the pan, you get it hot, you put in some good olive oil, right? Not too much, because it's going to splatter, especially if it gets very hot.
Now, don't judge a nectarine by its bruises and its bumps. Just because it's not perfectly round doesn't mean it's not going to be perfectly delish. So what you want to do, turn on the water cold, not hot. It's a rookie mistake thinking, oh, I better wash it in hot to kill all the germs. No. You wash it in cold to keep that delicious flavor and keep the juices flowing.
An artichoke, I love steamed with a little bit of mayonnaise with cracked black pepper and lime. And then a ribeye, marinated in smoked paprika and Worcestershire and tons of mustard. Throw it on the barbecue.
You crack a couple of eggs in there, and what that does is it makes the whites really, really crispy, especially on the outside. But the inside, the yolks especially, and the white around the yolk stays tender and nice and still runny. This is a great thing to do, I recommend it.
Today what we're gonna do is a chorizo and papa torta with a little bit of queso fresco, some avocado, little salsa, really simple, just how I like to cook here at the house. So come on and take a look while I cook.
Corn on the cob with maybe a chipotle aioli and cotija cheese, a really yummy salad of arugula and celery root with lemon oil vinaigrette.
Now what you want to do is eat it. So let's give that a try, shall we? Oh, God.
So my favorite meal to cook at home is a Caesar salad. I am not a great cook. I was not raised with great cooking, and I somehow learned how to make a super good Caesar salad that has somewhat followed me throughout my life, and friends of mine and friends' kids all seem to want me to make a Caesar. So I do make a fairly famous Caesar salad.
That's a little slice of heaven.
Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Isn't that beautiful? Fried chicken was big in the Doolin household. Let me tell you, we love fried chicken.
My favorite of all time, coq au vin. I love the process of it.
I don't know, maybe tomatoes with fresh basil or a salsa verde. And that's really, very simple, but really one of my most favorite meals.
That's pure pleasure. That's nirvana.
Depending on what type of year it is, this salad changes with their beautiful purple leaves in it and chervil. And I might grill a piece of fish, or I might have a pasta, but I always have a salad.
Some onions, cilantro. It doesn't look too bad, huh? And that's it.
I don't know who else you got teaching you recipes. You got Emerald, you got Guy Fieri. Doesn't matter. You ain't gonna beat this nectarine. Chef Black, good to see you guys. Much love. We'll get through this.
Chicago is not only known for its hot dogs and deep dish pizza, which anyone from Chicago will tell you are the best, it's also known for producing some of the nation's most renowned chefs. One of them is rising star Lamar Moore. He recently won the Food Network show Vegas Chef Prize Fight, which earned him the position as head chef at the Bugsy & Myers Steakhouse in Las Vegas. Chef Lamar has also been dedicated to helping others during the pandemic through his work with World Central Kitchen. I spoke with him earlier this week about that experience, his love of Southern cuisine, and his new adventure in Las Vegas. Take a look. Hi, Chef Lamar Moore. It's good to see you. So you're in the kitchen at Bugsy & Myers, is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And what have you got in front of you? What are you making for us today?
So today I'm going to be making our signature sea scallops. Just to walk you through some of the ingredients, I have the diverse sea scallops here. This is our celery puree. Obviously, we're going to the fall season, so it's a nice fall item to have. It's our marinated salsa. This here is our mushroom vinaigrette, and also our veal sweetbreads.
So right now you're in Bugsy & Myers in Las Vegas. How has that been going? I know it was delayed because of the pandemic, but how are things going now?
Things are going well right now, and actually, talk a little bit about that even more. My involvement with World Central Kitchen kind of started due to the pandemic. So back in Chicago, I was one of the first people who reached out when I assisted a local restaurant group where we were able to push out 60,000 meals in 3 months. On top of that, we were able to feed furloughed employees, while Caesars Entertainment was also back here in Vegas, also donating a lot of product and also helping assist in their team members here. So we had a collective joint going, but in separate spaces. So Glad to be back here, and things have been going very, very well. Recently, we just decided to open 7 days a week, so the business level has increased. But also, we are still following our health and safety protocols on the Caesars Entertainment. As you can see, I have my mask on, and we're 6 feet distance inside of the kitchen, and also very separated inside of our dining room as well.
I'm very happy for you because I know you had to, you won the show and then weren't able to celebrate properly. So have you been able to kind of have a little celebration there in the kitchen?
Somewhat. It's been good to get in gear with the team, front and back of the house. Everyone's been, patiently awaiting to take care of our guests, and all of the guests have been waiting to get here, and obviously meet myself from, the nice win I had on Food Network, and it's good to get back to some cooking in the kitchen and get back with the team. So,
well, I will let you get cooking.
So first step, I have a preheated heavy-duty saute pan here. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to the pan. It's gonna help us give a really, really nice sear on our scallops. Okay. Next step is I'm going to season our scallops. So as you can see, I have the scallops kind of on a piece of paper. What that does is takes some of the liquid off of there, because when you sear the scallops, you want to get a nice sear. So I'm going to season both sides with salt and pepper. This is kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Same thing we use here in the restaurant. You can find in a local store. And this recipe is obviously simple and very easy to make at home too. So
yes, while you work on those, I'd love to know, what was it like being on, on Food Network, on the Vegas prize fight, competing on TV? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Been on Food Network 3 times. My first time was on Chop, which was very nerve-wracking. Had a lot of cameras in my face, didn't know what was going on. Didn't win. Second time was on Beat Bobby Flay, which someone who I do like and enjoy, seeing the type of food that he's able to put out. And this time was a little bit different. I spent a lot more time in Vegas than I would have thought. No partying, a lot of cooking. Chef Amberell was kind of on my tail quite a bit during the competition. And then being victorious and being a part of this great operation and this $10 million restaurant is definitely a dream come true after 20-some years in the industry. So it's been great. Yeah.
And you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but your work with World Central Kitchen, how did you decide to get involved with them and kind of, I hear turn one of your restaurants into, a communal kitchen for the community after the pandemic?
Well, there's a few things here. As a chef, I definitely admire José Andrés as an advocate for, helping people, obviously during the hurricanes and, definitely with the pandemic now. So, as a chef, that's something you want to do. The other parts of that is that, with Chicago is another metro city like Los Angeles and also here in Vegas. And when I was presented the opportunity to be able to, help the community, that's what I embody. I talked about a lot of that doing Food Network. Obviously, the stars align with Caesars Entertainment because they embody the same thing as far as, helping local communities and helping the community here in Las Vegas. So it was a perfect opportunity for me to continue that same advocacy. I have donated my time in mentoring students and older adults, mentor a lot of the cooks here in Vegas and also in Chicago. So, the stars align for me to be able to do it, and nothing like being able to help another company.
I want to touch on the mentorship that you mentioned there, because I know that that's a big part of your platform is mentoring other kind of up-and-coming or younger Black chefs in the community. I think we all know what a big deal that is to have a mentor, someone to help guide you through the restaurant industry. So can you talk a little bit about how you started that and like how you go about your mentoring for younger Black chefs coming up right now?
Sure. One of the first things, especially growing up in Chicago, from a culinary school standpoint, it was very difficult for me to go to culinary school. Thankfully, I had my mom who was able to assist in, financials to get me to school. A lot of the schools in Chicago, they didn't have the funding for like home economics to be able to teach. So, I mentor through a CCAP program and also ProStart, where I would go and visit the schools. I talk about my life, my career, my history. As an African-American chef, coming up in the industry, it's very difficult for me to find, people like myself. So as I've gotten older, it's important for me to be able to show that same respect. I mean, especially now here being in Las Vegas, instead of just visiting and partying, I'm, here, co-running a $10 million restaurant, which is something good for people like myself to be able to see. When we're talking about these cheese scallops over, let me kick in a little bit with a nice hard sear on there.
Those look fantastic.
I cook these a little medium also.
Yeah. I know you said that born and raised in Chicago, but you have some family in Mississippi. Is that correct? That kind of influenced your cooking?
That's correct. So, that was a part of my mentor. I'm pleased I let them rest. My grandmother cooks. That's where I got into the whole community spiel and being able to help communities, because I watched my grandmother do it all the time. I watched them switching pans for the sweetbreads. A little bit of oil in there. My grandmother helped a lot of people in the neighborhood. She would have cats, dogs. She would cook in the churches on the weekends. So I saw that growing up. Plus, I was a little fat kid sitting on the counter watching her cook a lot of food. And, most recently, like when on Food Network, Amber Elle kept drilling home for me to be able to cook what I knew. And so in the finale, I kept, toying over my head. I was sleepless that night trying to figure out what I wanted to make. And coincidentally, I made a fried chicken dish. And these biscuits that, I grew up to love with my grandmother all the time became one of my signature items. And recently, we just, again, changed our menu here at Bugs & Myers on the fall menu. And I premiered the actual fried chicken dish that I did on Food Network's Vegas Chef Prize Fight with a nice Vegas-style upgrade. So, those things hit home to me. We collectively, culinarily, and also from a food and beverage standpoint, have really, really trying to, change the model of what Vegas is and what we do here at Caesars and also Flamingo. So, it's been a great combination of what we do culinarily with, the executive chef here, Honorio. He's been with the company for over 15 years, and I look for his guidance and leadership and being able to, continue to lead this team on a food level and raise the bar, as we say.
I'm very excited to hear that dish is going to be at the restaurant because I'm dying to try it. I'm actually from a little small town nearby where your grandmother grew up, so it hits home.
Yeah, I talk about that dish a little bit. So everything is pretty much homemade. So the fried chicken is buttermilk battered. I make my own hot sauce, which you'll see on the show, which we have here as well. Honey butter biscuits from scratch, the house made pickles, and then we added a little higher touch of Southern. So I did some mac and cheese bites with a little bit of Cajun remoulade on there. So and it's available Monday through Wednesday. And then this sea scallop dish that I'm doing right now here is one of our newest upgrades as well, going right into that fall season again with a really nice sea scallop and the celery puree, which works really, really well with that, and also the mushroom vinaigrette. So right now I'm giving a sear on the sweetbreads as well. Oh,
very nice. What is the inspiration for this dish? Did you have something similar to it, growing up or anything, or is it just like a kind of celebration of the seasons?
And we wanted to have some, fall inspiration. I definitely grew up on having, celery and celery root, which is the base of the sauce on the bottom. And it's nothing like having some fresh sea scallops.
How are you kind of changing your cooking from your restaurants in Chicago to where you are in Vegas? Is it, you doing kind of using flasher ingredients, or are you just kind of taking what you already know and just, like you said, kind of taking it up a notch?
I'm taking what I know and kicking it up and making it more Vegas style. People come here for the show. I mean, like that fried chicken, to be quite honest, that's probably the first time I've in order for me to develop that recipe, I've cooked the recipe quite a bit. I probably made over 100 fried chickens before I got to the right plate, because, fried chicken is very rustic. It's very, kind of eat with your hands. And we made a little bit more knife and fork, made it more French style on the plate. So it looks a little bit more high class. So that was definitely a different touch that I wasn't used to, that I had to adapt to.
Who were some of your mentors or kind of chef's inspirations that you looked up to when you were coming up as a young chef?
One of my first ones, and where we're talking, I'm going to start plating the scallops here too. One of my mentors I appreciate, who actually works with CCAP, is Marcus Samuelson. Visited this restaurant quite a bit. He does a lot of work with NAU students. We have crossed paths once. There was an operation I worked at called Currency Exchange Cafe, which was dear to me. It was on the south side of Chicago. And there's a local artist by the name of Theaster Gates, who does a lot for the communities from an art standpoint. And he and Marcus Samuelson has done some great things together. It's the celery puree that I'm putting down. So he was definitely a big mentor for me.
He's been doing a lot of great work for everyone all the time. I always, every time you hear about him, he's doing great work for other people in the community for sure. So that's awesome. So kind of walk us through how you're plating up the dish.
Right. So I got 4 little dots or swipes of celery puree. I'm going down with the sea scallops on each one. Next here I have the braised and slow cooked salsify. So this salsify is also nice fall item as well. So we've taken it and we have slow poached in milk, a little bit of salt and pepper, garlic, and onion, and then peeled and then sauteed again with a little bit of fresh chive. So right next there. And we have our nice veal sweetbreads here. Next to that. And next we're going to take our mushroom vinaigrette. Just going to go a little bit right on top. What this does, gives a little bit of bite. It's got some tangy, sweet notes to it, and enhances the flavor of our sea scallop.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little truffle in there too, so nice when it hits the table, you'll get a little burst of truffle in there.
Yeah.
And then
very Vegas. I love that.
So very Vegas, and we talk about local. Like these microgreens are local to Las Vegas. And again, going into more local. So on the same thing on my fried chicken dish, there is a dollop of honey that's right on top. That honey is also local here in Las Vegas. So, we've been working with a lot of local purveyors here. Obviously, it's been a slight challenge due to the coronavirus, but we have been doing a very good job with our local purveyors here, ensuring that we get the best quality product possible. So pretty simple, pretty quick, and
yeah, that's it. That looks fantastic. I hate that I can't be eating it right now.
I agree. If you could smell what I smell and the nice searing of scallops, I think you would be very impressed. Very happy about that. I know we are.
Chef Lamar Moore, thank you for being with us, and thank you for all the work you've done in support of World Central Kitchen.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
The beginning of the pandemic, with its interruptions to the food supply, reminded us of how interconnected this world is, refocusing all of us on sustainability and making us more mindful of how precious our natural resources are. Chef Josh Niland embodies this principle. He is known in his native Australia as an evangelist of seafood and for the idea of including nearly all of a fish in his cooking. Let's take a look at what Josh Niland calls fish butchery.
G'day guys, come on through. I'm going to take you into the cool room. Come on. All right, welcome to Fish Butchery. So this is my retail store. My name's Josh Niland. I'm the owner and chef of St. Peter Restaurant, just a few doors down. And this is Fish Butchery. So this is our retail space where we store all our fish, all our fantastic Australian fish, line caught, incredible species, such a diversity. We've usually got about 14 different species here. So completely spoiled. And I get to come in here every day and go shopping and write the menu for the restaurant. So, I'm in my happy place right here. So things like beautiful gemfish that I don't think get seen too many other places. I mean, look at the teeth on that. Wow. And then kingfish. We've got all these fantastic wild kingfish. And what makes this different is we cut the scales off the fish rather than using a scaler that would damage the flesh and make it really soft. We go along and we cut the scales off. And by doing that, we're able to condition the skin so that we get this wonderful dryness on the outside, which allows us to pan fry the skin and almost get like pork crackling. So we do try and treat the fish as if it was meat. So we're dry aging these fish in this cool room that's sitting very, very cold at between 0 and -1 degrees. And what that does is it keeps the fish in optimum condition for as long as possible. So that means that we're able to utilize the whole fish up to 94%, up well on top of what is considered normal, which is 45. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we create a sustainable future for fish. All right, I thought I'd put myself to work, so we're going to take apart this beautiful bonito that we just saw in the cool room. 3 hours north of here, we're getting this incredible line-caught fish. It's almost like a little tuna, if you can imagine that. And this is a great tip for everybody that's at home at the moment. So something really great to put onto the barbecue. So, bonito, hold it in your hand, left hand, get yourself a good pair of scissors. And what you want to do, open the cavity up, and then we're cutting down both sides of the spine. So we're cutting the ribs, cut the ribs, cut. Both sides. And we're doing that to create a little path for our knife to run down both sides so it opens up like a butterfly. Now, knife, nice and sharp. Down one side, staying nice and close to the bone. Down, open it up. And you can see there, nice and close to the bone. You can see the bones. Now, repeat on the other side. Starting down here, draw the blade down. And scissors again, going in, cutting the bone at the top and then right at the bottom there. And then we need to cut this spine from the fish. Here it comes. So it's almost just a matter of negotiating this bone out. Snip, snip. We watch that one come out. Bone comes out. Don't get rid of it. Great soup, great oils, lots of potential to do many things. Bone's out. Now, it's a matter of getting this fish nice and flat. Okay. Turn it over. Let's get a cleaver. You said it was a fish butchery. In at the head. And we break that down. I mean, we could go through the labour of what it's like pin boning a fish, but that exceeds the time that we have today, so we won't worry about that. And then the scissors really just help to clean up this little bit of cartilage, because it's all about trying to create a surface area that has no bones. Because, I mean, that's one of the big things that people just don't really enjoy when it comes to fish. So we need to bring as much desirability as we can to the fish. So now, these are the first to burn on the grill, so the little fins get scissored off, and then we can trim his tail up a little bit. And then, beautiful butterfly bonito, ready for the grill. Incredible fish. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, and then you get all this skin crispy and beautiful, and that's it. Enjoy.
Aside from touring us through their kitchens and telling us about their favorite home meals, the more than 50 chefs we reached out to for this program also took time to tell all of you about how important World Central Kitchen is and to ask you for your support.
Bonjour, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Atelier Grand Kitchen in the beautiful San Francisco, California.
Hi guys, my name is Lamar Moore, head chef at Bosie Meyer Steakhouse here at the Flamingo Hotel.
Hi, I'm Lisa McCree, anchor of LA Times Today on Spectrum News 1, and I am happy to support World Central Kitchen's relief efforts.
Please visit wck.org/Cook-a-thon to assist World Central Kitchen in supplying healthy, fresh meals for those that are in need.
Get donation, please, to the World Central Kitchen. Au revoir, à bientôt. Mwah.
And we'd be remiss here if we didn't pause to recognize our founding sponsor, Citi, and pass on to all of you this message from Citi's Chief Marketing Officer, Carla Hassan. Let's take a look.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carla Hassan, Chief Marketing Officer at Citi. We are so excited to be a sponsor of tonight's Cook-a-thon, working with the Los Angeles Times Foods Bowl and World Central Kitchen. Without a doubt, 2020 has been a challenging year for the restaurant industry, but through the amazing work of José Andrés and his colleagues, it has also been a year of remarkable ingenuity and resilience. For millions in America, the same lockdowns and social distancing measures that are helping protect them from COVID-19 have largely halted their work and income, leaving them wondering how they'll access the basic resources they need to survive. This is why earlier this year, Citi announced a new collaboration with World Central Kitchen, and we're extremely excited to work with this amazing organization. For the past 10 years, World Central Kitchen has worked to use the power of food to heal and strengthen communities in times of crisis and beyond. The need for these efforts have multiplied through COVID-19. As part of our commitment, we have contributed $2.5 million in support of World Central Kitchen's Chef for America's relief effort, helping fund 250,000 meals across the U.S. We are thrilled to continue our efforts with this exciting virtual event benefiting World Central Kitchen. LA Food Bowl has always been about the simple act of gathering together over a meal and celebrating Southern California restaurants and communities, a mission we passionately support. And we're so proud to be a part of this event for the 4th consecutive year. We look forward to celebrating with you tonight.
Carla Hassan, Chief Marketing Officer of Citi, thank you. It's time now to return to the kitchen of one of the world's best-known chefs. Here is more of Chef José Andrés in his kitchen in Maryland, where he's preparing his signature Spanish-influenced cooking.
In this moment, the kombu keep boiling. That's great, beautiful. Keep reducing. In this moment, the pan is almost hot. I'm gonna whisk this a little bit more. While I wait, this is what I do. I have here the egg whites. I'm gonna put some salt that usually is never around here, over there, and take a look what you do. You put a touch of salt. It's gonna help break the egg whites. And we're gonna whisk until we do egg whites. Like you create this kind of beautiful cloud of all the air that is going inside the egg whites, because the egg whites love air. In the moment you give the opportunity to egg whites to incorporate molecules of oxygen, of air, they love it. And that's why it's one moment that you can see through, and all of a sudden you cannot see through. Why? Because it's a lot of air, and when it's air you cannot see through. But we keep whisking like that. In this moment, it's very good that you have an assistant or you have somebody that helps you to do this, because you can get very tired, and I like to have people that do it. Or you can, some is living, or you can get a machine and you can do it in no time. But I'm gonna keep doing this. Take a look at the rice. The rice keep boiling. How are you doing? How are you doing? I think in the moment, very soon, I'm gonna take out the kombu. Why? Because the kombu now has multiplied by 10 its size. It's kind of soft. Actually, we can even cut it in pieces and incorporate it in the rice. Okay, Jose, keep going. I'm gonna leave it here for a second, even it's not finished yet. I have this kombu I'm taking out. I have this other kombu I'm taking out. And then I'm grabbing this knife. I'm gonna cut some of the pieces of the kombu like in triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now I'm gonna add it to the rice like this. Why? Because I like this texture that the kombu brings to the whole thing. Oh yeah, I know that sometimes when we use short grain rice to make sushi, the recipes always tells you that you have to clean it and wash it, but I'm not doing that. I hope you can see it. It's gonna get very, very nice. Look at this. The rice keeps being cooked. Oh yeah, this is gonna look so good. It's unbelievable. In this moment, we have the pan, the oil is here, and now is what I do. I get and I put the egg all in the middle. Oh yeah. And in this moment, I make sure that all the egg covers the bottom of this pan. And in this precise moment, I wait until some of the egg really, I can break some to make sure that the egg starts coagulating. And in this moment, while this is coagulating, I come and I do this more. The crab with the salsa rosa is finished, and the cornichon, the pickled cucumbers. In Spain, we love them. And the rice, doing okay. Look at the sausage. I like it, this beautiful, nice, mellow autumn color. I love the fall, and this has the color of the fall. I keep whisking. I'm very close to be finished. In this moment, take a look what I do. Underneath, I can smell that some of these, the sugar, is caramelizing, and this is actually a good thing. Okay, baby, don't get stuck now. People are watching. Yeah, it's what happened. Everybody uses that one, but take a look how beautiful. Do you see as I'm turning? It's slightly caramelized. It's better if you have a spatula that is the size of this pan, but this way you go doing one side and the other, sometimes even breaks, but that's fine. When you get to the edge, you bring it here. No. When you are to the edge, you do this, you see? And in this last moment, I'm gonna do it one more try to try to seal it. And I'm gonna put it right here. This moment we have the omelette almost finished, almost caramelized, and in this moment I need to start doing this. Come on, Jose, it's for today. Come on. Oh, it's almost there. Come on. The great thing is that you can change the recipe. If you don't have time to do the whole thing, you can change the recipe. Take a look. This is almost done. 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 This can be a sauce of egg white, or this can be the egg yolks totally like heavy thicks, you know? Really, really, in Spanish we call it merengue. Merengue. Come on. Next time, grab a bigger bowl. Okay, the rice is almost finished. The omelette is almost there. I'm caramelizing the bottom even a little bit more. Okay, this is almost finished. In this moment, we take all of this from the middle. I got this beautiful pan. Take a look what I do now. You see? Oh, yeah. Right here, right now. In this moment, this is very beautiful because I can do this. I can grab a knife and I can cut it in half, and in half. This moment is always very good to have some Maldon salt and put it on top. I'm not gonna do that. I had used normal salt. I'm putting some honey on top, like this. Like this. Come on, Jose. Like this, you see? Oh, yeah. Some honey. Yeah, sweet on sweet. That's why you don't need to put too much sugar. And then, almost to finish, I'm bringing this rice down. Take a look. This is almost done. Come on, Jose. Finish this. Okay, it's almost finished. In this moment, I'm putting some sugar. More. Yes. Why so much sugar? Because this is a dessert, people. This is a dessert. Okay, this is done. Why? Because I want it to be done. Because if I don't make it, it's not, this show is too long. And I told you, you can do this as a sauce like I'm doing now. I like it much better. Look at beautiful. This is the best omelette with egg white you'll ever eat in your life. And you can do it home in no time. In this moment, the rice is telling me, Jose, I'm almost finished. I think the texture is almost done. As you see, I didn't touch it. Not once. This is not like an Italian risotto. The rice is almost done. This is unbelievable. In this moment, I come and with the help of these chopsticks, I'm gonna stop it. And in this moment, you can wait until it gets colder, or even better, you can go, and if you like them slightly cooked, you put them on top. This is already finished. You put them on top. This is already finished. You put them on top. I know you're gonna say, but Jose, what happens if I don't have sea urchin? Okay, do it with mussels. If you don't have mussels, do it with clams. If not, with crab meat. Instead of doing that, you do the crab meat here. As you see, you have a lot of possibilities, very much to do whatever you want. In this moment, some black pepper on top. If you want to intensify the flavors that we are playing with here, which are very obviously Asian, Japanese, you can put a touch of soy on the uni. I'm not gonna do that, but you can do that. And in this moment, people, the rice is finished. What I'm gonna do is put a touch of oil, because I'm from Spain and I love the oil. And I want you to take a look how beautiful this is when you see it nice and close. You see, everybody can do a very important meal in less than 17 minutes, where the crab with this amazing pink sauce, salsa rosa, this rice, and this amazing omelette, like my mother used to make. But at the same time, this doesn't look like at all like Spain, but at the same time, I can tell you that many of these things are inspired where I come from. You see, we can be from some place or belong to another. We may have experiences from all over. At the end of the day, what's happening is that in our brains, we have so many things from so many different parts of the world, that when we cook traditional, we must cook traditional. When we cook like this is fine, but it's very important that we separate the days that we do the traditional dishes of the places they come from. Obviously today, I cook almost from memory. This is Spanish, this omelette? Not really. Did I grow up eating it? Yes. Did my mother make it? Yes. Is there in Spanish? Yes, in my side of the story. but nobody will consider this a traditional Spanish dessert. So you see, life is complicated when we talk about food. The same I can say about this rice, the same I can say about this crab. Everything belongs to nowhere, but then everything belongs everywhere. I am José Andrés. I love you, LA Times. I love all the family in California, in Los Angeles. Let's do this. I hope you enjoy this cooking segment. See you soon. Bye, guys.
Chef José Andrés, thank you for that visit to your kitchen. It may not surprise you how much Andres is admired among his peers in the restaurant world. So when we asked dozens of his friends to help his organization, World Central Kitchen, by calling for support, the video streamed in. Here are a few more.
Konnichiwa. Hello. Hello. My name is Zayu Hasegawa from Den, Tokyo. Den, Tokyo.
I am Eric Ripper, the chef and co-owner of Le Bernardin in New York City.
Hi, it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'm here in support of World Central Kitchen's wonderful Cook-a-thon.
Please go to this link here to support the World Central Kitchen, their Cook-a-thon event.
Onegaishimasu.
And it is to help the efforts of World Central Kitchen that is providing nutritious meal, delicious meal actually, to so many people in need today.
I love José Andrés, and I would do anything to support him because he is a true worldwide hero.
Thank you.
When restaurants were shutting down nationwide and feeling the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, restaurateurs and co-owners Victor Delgado and Jorge Alvarez Tostado, something many would consider completely surprising. They opened their fourth Tijuana-style Tacos 1986 location in Los Angeles. Back when we first met Victor and Jorge only a year and a half ago, they were still operating a wildly popular cart in Koreatown.
No one better than me. We got beef, chicken, mushroom, pork, adobada, tostadas, mulitas, quesadillas. Very cheap, very cheap. Ay, güey, perdón, sí es cierto, tacos de adobada. Yo aquí ando bien metido en todo. Cuatro. The paper, there's no taco without no paper. That's one thing. We closed the restaurant before not serving a taco without a paper.
Victor and Jorge must be onto something. With 4 storefronts and a 5th opening in 3 weeks, not even a pandemic is slowing them down. Welcome, Victor and Jorge.
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
Hi, so nice to see you guys.
It's been a minute. Quick minute. Very nice to see you.
Victor, you opened your 3rd location back in April during the pandemic. That's definitely an unusual story. You expanded your brand while so many restaurants were shrinking their businesses. What was the thinking behind
that? Push forward. I think push forward. We have some plans, obviously, for this year, and we decided to put our team on our backs and stay open for them. And here we are. We're happy to be open, especially for our team.
And Jorge, Angelinos can look just about anywhere for a taco, but your shop is definitely popular for many reasons. In our video from last year, you tell people online that these are the best tacos in LA. What makes a good taco?
Well, a good taco here at Tacos 1986 starts off with a handmade tortilla. All of our products are fresh, every day, fresh. The onion that you eat on your taco is chopped that morning, probably an hour before you ate it. Our meats are fresh, our chicken's fresh. The mushroom recipe is legit.
No freezers in our building.
No freezers in our building, and we're still stacking. I'm still stacking the vertical spits at some of the stores. So I think of a little bit of that joy ethos is in each store, I think, as well. Hopefully, I don't know, but the food is there. The food will for itself. I think it's an honor to be open during this time and to keep the quality there, the freshness there. It's definitely my job. So happy to be open.
No, I'm very happy you guys are open. And I'd like to ask this question for both of you, but Victor, I'll start with you. What is next for Tacos 1986?
Pardon me?
What is next for Tacos 1986?
Oh, what is next? I think it's it's definitely finding a way to adapt to the new ways of serving food, to making sure everyone feels safe, and making sure that making sure everyone feels safe when they come eat or when they order food from us is definitely a new model for us, and we had no choice like everyone else but to adapt, and that's the name of the game, adapting to this new way of serving our food.
Adapt and execute.
Yeah.
And Jorge, what about you? What are your plans?
The plan is to definitely keep growing. Right now, we have a really important task at hand by educating our own people, our own staff, in our concept and our vision, and we really want them to grow with us. So maintaining the people that have helped us grow, people like you see in the video, you're probably seeing and just maintaining those guys and making sure that the people that come along really know what they're doing to help us grow. To go to Japan.
Victor and Jorge of Tacos 1986, congratulations, you guys, on all your success, and thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to see you guys.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, we would love to cook for the whole team, the LA Times, whenever you guys are ready.
We would love that too.
We'll cater for you.
Hi, Jen. Thank you.
Say hi to Bill.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
It's been a special experience to spend these 2 hours with you, shining a light on the restaurant industry and on the work of World Central Kitchen. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about the work of World Central Kitchen, you can find it all online. And if you'd like to support World Central Kitchen's mission, please go to wck.org/Cook-a-thon. Jen, before we go, I'd like to ask if there's anything that surprised you tonight. You and I write about food and restaurants a lot, and I'm often curious about how chefs draw their influences. To me, it seems that the ups and downs of this year will be an influence on their style, just as much as their grandmother's roast chicken. It seems the name of the game moving forward will be to be adaptive. Do you think we'll probably see that in their cooking too?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Evan said earlier, chefs and restaurateurs and hospitality people are the most resilient people I've ever met. And I definitely think pivot will be the word of 2020. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see so many people positive and just really looking forward. I think it was really great. And it was so surprising actually for me to see how small of an organization World Central Kitchen is and for how much good they do. To only have like 50 people on staff and to be doing good all over the world is really amazing. So thank you. We'd like to thank everyone for joining the Cook-a-thon benefiting World Central Kitchen and presented by the Los Angeles Times in partnership with Citi. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Thank you and good night.